Hello everyone, we are live at PAX in downtown Seattle, and crowd, haven't we had an amazing afternoon of magic? It has, yeah. Brian David-Marshall, 4 people came up onto this stage a couple of minutes ago. I swear at least 3 of them you could see glints in eyes.
Oh, they were overjoyed. Sam Black set a land speed record getting to the stage, and that was including doing like an entire lap around the room of high fives before he came up here.
Yeah, it was an extraordinarily tight tournament, and part of the reason it was so tight was because someone rocketed off into historic distance.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny when we were talking about the team that was made up of, that had both Seth Manfield and Steve Rubin on it. We talked about Steve Rubin as the dark horse for this tournament. That kind of made Seth Manfield the darker horse, because we were talking about Rubin, but I mean Manfield, who has a Pro Tour top 8 this season, he annihilated this field.
Yeah, he absolutely took them apart, and you used annihilate for a reason.
Well, I did. This is Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar is on the horizon, and we're going to be doing a Battle for Zendikar preview thing tomorrow.
And Seth did indeed make Ulamog.
Oh, he did. Okay, that's right. I forgot about that.
So, 13.
I'm just looking at all this cool artwork here, and I'm just thinking about getting to play Magic with some of these new cards tomorrow. So I was a little distracted. I apologize.
Pretty extraordinary. So Seth Manfield, of course, is your #1 seed heading into Sunday, where, by the way, the format will be standard, which separates it from 3/4 of the rest of the tournament BDM, because this was an extraordinary examination, not of metagame skill in one format, but 2 constructed formats, 2 completely separate limited formats. And it's interesting to note that when we look at our Final Four as we head down, where they've come from, this format of 4 formats has tended to favor the players who have been consistent throughout the year, whether that's at large or top pro points.
Right, we talked about 2 different types of invites for this. There were a number of people who won a trophy, got an invite. And it's kind of like, not to say, doesn't matter how they did the rest of the year. They spiked a tournament, and that qualified them for this event. But then at the end, there are a lot of seats to be filled, and those go to the top performers over the course of the year. And all 4 of the players on Sunday had at-large berths.
Or some form of pro points, right.
Some form of pro point invite to this event.
So, #1, Seth Manfield. In fact, why don't we get to the leaderboard? Let's show you how it all panned out. So this is how we end up. 4 wins clear of the field, Seth Manfield. But then it was 9 and 5 all the way, and you had 3 in and 1 out. And for a long time, it looked like the 8 and 6s, Strasky, Saporido, McLaren, Muller, they looked like they were in with a shout. And Martin Muller, hats off for a great run, 17. He will be back for sure.
Yeah, I also want to do a shout out to Thiago Saporido. I think a lot of people, didn't, he was sort of at the bottom of a lot of people's pick orders, just because maybe they didn't know him. He doesn't have the experience to, but he put up a great tournament and was within 1 match of making the top 4 here.
Yeah, and thanks to all our Brazilian viewers. We're sorry we couldn't get you Saporido live in that last round. But the thing was, he was against Seth Manfield. We already knew Manfield was going to win. So, what we ended up with was Turtenwild next, Rietzel 3rd, and then Sam Black 4. Now, Paul Rietzel, we talked about at 3 and 3 yesterday, going into a last round after.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. My phone is exploding with people on Twitter talking about that Paul Rietzel match.
Yes.
I thought I was having a heart palpitation, but it's really just my phone going constantly. People are just going crazy on Twitter watching that match, watching Paul Rietzel. They're like, how did Paul pull that out?
Rietzel is so extraordinary because you can talk about technical play, you can talk about the right deck list, you can talk about, for example, working with Sam Black and being on the right team, and Girapur Ether Grid would be an example of a card that, that was an edge he had. But the thing about Rietzel is that in the end, when it's absolutely on the line, he is one of the few players who you almost always bank on to come through.
Yeah, no, he is. I think one of the most fearsome competitors to sit across the table from. He's going to give you no quarter. He's going to be jovial. He's going to be a gentleman, and then he is going to leave you lying by the side of the road with a sucking chest wound
Right.
to drown in your own fluids, as he walks away with the win.
Right. Owen Turtenwald, meanwhile, it looked, he's slightly been lost in this conversation over the last few hours because we kind of felt that he was in, even with some losses down the back end. But listening to you in the chairs just a few minutes ago with Owen, talk about, again, laying everything on the line. Leaving themselves, and the thing about that, it's not just about the effort and being great at Magic. It's about leaving yourself no excuses, because when you don't make it in, if you behave like that, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I was not sufficient to merit this challenge. So to actually put yourself on the line in that way is just wonderful in and of itself, and then he succeeds even better.
Marshall and I saw Owen in the lobby of our hotel, I think it was Wednesday, and we're like, Marshall was like, hey, Owen, how you gonna do it? He's like, oh, I'm gonna win this thing. And he wasn't joking.
Who last said that? Wasn't it?
It was Owen.
Wasn't it Shahar Shenhar?
Well,
last year?
Shahar said it. But Owen has said that before when he's like, he won a GP. Like, oh, what are you gonna do at the next GP? He's like, I'm gonna win it. He is some. He had formats that he could prepare for, and the confidence in his preparation. Again, he said 12 hours a day, which is pretty amazing. I also want to just, Seth Manfield worked with a team of 4 players. Owen Turtenwald worked with a team of 4 players. There were a couple of smaller teams. In fact, there was a team of 2 players that I want to talk about specifically. The Team Ultra Pro team, Sam Black, Paul Rietzel, those guys were the only 2 people from their team qualified for this event. We've talked about them time and time again. Team Ultra Pro putting people through into the top 8 of Pro Tours, putting people through to the top 16 of Pro Tours. Well, you know what? Both of their players at this tournament, sitting in the top 4, they're going to be playing on Sunday.
So, Manfield, Turtenwald, Rietzel, and then the unkindest cut of all, someone has to be 5th. This time it was Magnus Lanto, the reigning Magic Online World Champion. And he put together a real run, and runs in this event, unless you're Seth Manfield, are almost impossible to come by. You win one, you lose one. You change format, you win one, you lose one, you change format. Lanto, from nowhere, just went, okay, time to buckle up. 6-5, 7-5, 8-5, 9-5 tie breaks. Miserable. And yet, a tremendous achievement when you just start by looking at Muller, McLaren, Sapri, Dostrowski, Watanabe, DeRosa, and Wilson, who are the top half who are below Magnus Lanto. So great job by Magnus.
Yep.
And we will not see him, sadly, on Sunday. But Sunday is now 2 days away. We get a day off for recovery tomorrow with so much great stuff going on here at PAX. We got the Battle for Zendikar event. We've got the party. We've got the Battle for Zendikar preview.
We're going to need a Saturday 0.5 for recovery.
That's a very good plan. But on Sunday, what will we see on Sunday?
You know what? We're going to see Seth Manfield versus Sam Black. Best 3 out of 5. Mm-hmm. We're going to see every game of that match. We're going to see Owen Turtenwald versus Paul Rietzel every game of that match. And then we're going to see the 2 winners of that match square off for the right to be called the World Champion of Magic.
Normally, we try and find a clever way to say goodbye to you. This time, we're not going to say anything. Instead, we're going to show you something. We've tried to convey to you just what this means to people, just how much 15 hours a day means to Seth Manfield and Owen Turtenwald and Paul Rietzel. But to close today as we head towards Sunday, and we can't wait to see you all there, we just want to show you what it means when you hear that you are in the Final 4 of the World Championship. Take it away, Sam Black.